Let's bring in NBC News foreign correspondent Raf Sanchez, who's for us in Ashkelon, Israel. Raf, tell us what it is you have been experiencing just in these last few hours.
Well, Alicia, like Richard and his team, we have been running to the bomb shelters as these rockets streak overhead. The night sky here, the midnight sky, illuminated almost every couple of minutes by Israeli Iron Dome missile interceptors trying to stop this wave of rocket fire. It is pretty extraordinary, 72 hours into this, that this rocket wave continues. The Iron Dome missile defense, it's a world-leading system, but it does not seem able to stop the sheer volume of rockets coming in. Now, in the last couple of hours, we heard not only from Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel, but also from the spokesman of the so-called military wing of Hamas. And he issued a new threat. He said Hamas will begin executing Israeli civilian hostages if Israeli airstrikes in Gaza land bombs on Palestinian homes without giving them warning ahead of time. Now, this is the first time that Hamas has explicitly threatened to execute the Israeli civilians that it has in captivity. Obviously, given the scale of carnage inside of Israel, it is no surprise that these threats are coming. But the words of the Hamas military spokesman sending a new chill through this country, through the hearts of the 100+ families who are missing loved ones tonight. We spoke earlier to a man named Yoni Asher. His wife and his 2 children are in Gaza, in Hamas captivity. On Saturday morning, they were at their grandparents' home in southern Israel. The last time Yoni spoke to his wife, Doron, she said that there were Palestinian gunmen at the door of her safe room. The call disconnected. Alicia, he used the Find My iPhone app to try to track her phone, and he could see that her cell phone was inside of Gaza City, and he was hoping and praying that maybe these gunmen had just stolen the cell phone. But then hours later, he saw in a Hamas video his wife being blindfolded, her arm protectively around the shoulders of one of his 2 young daughters, and he does not know where they are tonight. He said, when I asked him, what would you say to the people holding your children? He said he would gladly, in a heartbeat, go to Gaza and surrender himself if it meant that his family was free. And that is a sentiment that we are hearing all over this country. A couple other quick points. Israel's military says it is now in control of the border towns and communities after days of intense gun battles. But as Richard said, there are still gaping holes in that Gaza border fence. There may be tunnels underneath it. And every few hours, we are hearing about gunmen emerging in the open areas. Now, Israel's attention is on securing those border communities, on carrying out this wave of airstrikes inside of Gaza. But every indication we have, Alicia, is that they are preparing for a large-scale ground offensive. We have seen just column after column of Israeli tanks heading towards the Gaza border. And if that ground offensive goes ahead, as we expect it will in the coming days, it is the 2 million Palestinians inside of Gaza who live under Hamas rule who will pay the highest price. This would be urban warfare in one of the most densely populated places on earth, where there is nowhere to run, there is nowhere to hide, and it may very well be that a death toll that is already staggering on both sides is going to grow much, much higher in the days ahead. Alicia.
We've heard a lot about the 300,000 Israeli reservists who are being called up, some of them not even inside the country, having to transport themselves into the country so they may be able to join the fight. When you talk to Israelis, what are they saying about how long they expect this to last?
They're saying a couple of things. From Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on down, everybody understands that this is different. This is not like the rounds of rocket fire and Israeli airstrike over the last decade or so that, frankly, the world has become a little bit numb to. Everyone understands that this is a totally new situation. And you're exactly right that there are Israelis from all over the world who are trying desperately to get into this country as the rockets are overhead to answer the call to return to their military units and prepare for what they expect is going to be a very long and bloody war. And Alicia, I mean, A ground invasion of Gaza, complicated enough under any circumstances, so much more so when 130 Israeli civilians and soldiers are being held hostage. How Israeli military leaders can plan an operation where they simultaneously smash Hamas military infrastructure, spare Palestinian civilians large-scale bloodshed, and also somehow rescue these hostages before they're executed, it is just a fiendishly, agonizingly complex set of choices facing Israel's political and military leaders right now.